Council meeting to order. Thank you all for being here. We've got all alderpersons present with the exception of Joseph Zerflu, which couldn't be here this evening. We'll move into item number 3 on our agenda this evening will be the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a silent prayer. I invite you to please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Move into item number 4 on our agenda, which is the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. We'll get there in just a second. Council members, what are your wishes regarding the minutes of the previous meeting?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve by Dolan. Is there a second? Second by Ferkey. We'll do a voice vote. Any additions, corrections, discussion on the minutes? Seeing no discussion on the minutes, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Item 5 on our agenda this evening is the explanation of the visitor speaking procedure. Individuals wishing to address the body may do so on agenda items appearing before us, in which you'll be invited to the podium to speak for no more than 5 minutes. We also invite those individuals to introduce themselves and, for the record, state their address. Item number 6 is my report. Good evening, council members, staff, and those here or watching from home. It's officially summer solstice, longest day of the year, and it's going to be shorter hereafter. Happy to share with you this month's council update. Just coming off of Blossom Fest this last weekend with a very successful, yet again another successful weekend. I want to thank the volunteers and those that participated. I know myself and city staff, mayor's youth council members had many roles throughout the number of days, and obviously know what it takes firsthand to see the amount of work that goes into all that. The Mayor's Council on Beautification continues to work on spring and summer projects. The flower baskets are up and looking beautiful. The group continues to strategize on how they can beautify 8th Street. The latest presentation on green medians has them connecting with their public works and community development departments to come up with a successful plan, that may address short-term aesthetic concerns as well as those into the long term. The Mayor's Youth Council is celebrating a successful weekend after holding their second annual Kids to Park Day this last Saturday at Robinson Park. Dozens of parents and grandparents and youth attended. We're also accompanied by Friends of Rapids Music Fest at the park, really to round out a great outdoor experience for families that participated. They also have continued their work on aquatics with more potential donor visits identified and scheduled, and will also be participating in fundraising activities set for this week, which also mention and thank youth council members for participating in our float and the parade on Sunday. On aquatics, fundraising week, kickoff week has begun, and it is off to a great start thanks to the help of city staff and now alderpersons for showing up in your colorful and summer gear tonight. Obviously, we had a great float on in the parade on Sunday, and I think the momentum has gotten underway for us to formally kick off and usher in a fundraising week here in the city of Wisconsin Rapids. And obviously, don't miss my radio show tomorrow morning and plug for that, where we'll be running a marathon for donations from the community. And then catch us at Lunch by the River on Thursday to discuss aspects of the project and come down for lunch on Friday with a brat fry and root beer floats here at City Hall. On the riverfront, an on-site meeting was held with property owners on 3rd Street to review aspects of the project. We'll continue to consider input and feedback to refine the designs, and we're also holding weekly calls and working to refine the plans to ensure they'll receive DNR approval, meeting river flow expectations. Sand Valley, wanted to just mention that I'm sure you've noticed the influx of airplanes visiting our airport the last number of weeks. The fuel truck that the Airport Commission purchased was delivered in late May, and we're way ahead of last year's fuel sales, in large part because we're able to offer full-service fuel. We also hosted a visit here at City Hall with Congressman Kine's staff last Friday to talk about the potential infrastructure investments that are a priority of our administration in Washington, of which the airport may align. We're also talked about connecting highways and many other infrastructure projects we're planning in the city. We've also held some internal discussion related to some complaints we received in the dehydration plant, and encourage you to continue to inform your constituents that get calls that the city is considering action and enforcement, as well as a review of their plans to ensure that they get back to operating as they plan to. Notable events over the last month, held a Flag Day ceremony across the street at the Elks Lodge last week. Tonight at 5, we did a live appearance with Your Town, Wisconsin Rapids with WSAW Channel 7. It was kind of a fun experience. They're obviously featuring Wisconsin Rapids all week long, and so we were able to go live with them at 5, just down the street. Obviously with Blossom Fest, there were a lot of events that were held. Last week, the city's sponsored concert at Robinson Park of the city band was held. As a reminder, they do play weekly, and their concerts are free and open to the public, and the schedule is available online. Paul and I had the pleasure of hosting 2 summer school classes in this room last week, so if your chairs and your microphones are out of whack, I apologize. And finally, I also attended a day-long league event 2 weeks ago to discuss alternative financing models for local government. It was very interesting to hear a group of state lobbyists come together to talk about the issue of local government finance. And in short, while state revenues have grown $7 billion in the last 7 years, local government shared revenue has actually declined in that period of time. So certainly need for discussion as we continue to find creative ways to finance our services as the same way we've always done it. Doing so eventually will come to a pinch point where we'll be challenged. So in conclusion, I want to turn it over to Council President Dolan, and then we're going to conclude with his remarks by standing in the pool so Paul can get a photo. We're going to take the plunge officially. Alderperson Dolan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to, we know we pledged our support many times with the council, but this is an exciting time for Rapids. So you all know I've been involved in youth athletics and many other things, and this is just a great time. So I want to pledge my support, and I'm going to pass the hat to kick it off for fundraising. Oops, sorry.
Thanks, Alderperson Dolan.
Even though we've done it before. But
I know some of you have already pledged, so that's great, and thank you for that. I've pledged. It's that auto deduct, right? It's also available to anybody else that wants to auto deduct from their payroll. Yeah. We'll take that. Pledges in increments of a year, 2 or 3 years as well. Even our finance director looks like he's working for Paul is calling you out over there. All right, if you guys want to head into the pool, I think Travis is going to come out and take a photo. There's no water. Put the hat in it with all the donations in it. There you go. Thank you for that. And as a reminder, we've got events planned the rest of the week. So council members, thank you for taking part in taking the plunge and making a splash to get this aquatic center underway, and obviously appreciate, I think the community, if they don't say it, I'll share it with you because they share it with me. They do appreciate the council's serious consideration of this important community priority, and I know not a day goes by and somebody brings it up, and so I encourage you to continue to talk with others about it, and remind folks about the events this week, and hopefully we can get underway with construction early part of next year. We've reached a point with our consultants that we've, based on the schedule ahead, that we'll have to move our groundbreaking into spring of 2018, provided that we can get our fundraising efforts underway. But I think that'll allow us an ample time to really concentrate our efforts on fundraising over the next couple of months and make that happen. So, thank you. We'll move into item number 7. Maybe I shouldn't take this life jacket off until we raise that $6.5 million. Item number 7, new business. Item A is consider a resolution presented by Alderperson Kubaschak in support of Senate Bill 291, Assembly Bill 287 to reverse the Walgreens State Supreme Court decision of Senate Bill 292 and Assembly Bill 286 to close loopholes that shift a greater property tax burden from commercial to residential homeowners. I'll defer to Alderperson Kubaschak if you want to speak to a small correction there, as well as about the bill as a whole.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of the council, when I put this together, I was waiting at the last minute. I was 2 hours before Paul's deadline to be able to get the actual title going because the Assembly had not yet had their bills introduced on the floor. At that time, I threw the resolution together. I was down in St. Louis, Missouri at an OSHA class trying to get all this stuff together, and I erred. On the title, the actual Assembly bill numbers are 387 and 386 respectively, not 287, 286. The title is still accurate. The intent of that is still accurate. Therefore, are we able to continue the passage with this with a correction being made? And that would be what I would throw out on the floor for the council. Otherwise, I introduced supplemental information as well as a memo for everybody, and if it's a case where no one else has any questions or discussion on that, I would like to make a motion to approve this resolution with corrections made.
We have a motion to approve the item as it's presented with a minor correction to the numbering of the bills. Is there a second? Second by Alderperson Furkey. We'll move into discussion. Are there any requests to speak or follow-up questions related to the introduction of this resolution in support? I know this is an item that's been debated and it's been the topic of many discussions. It was in the summit I mentioned in Madison a couple of weeks ago. It's engaged a lot of groups of stakeholders. It's a concern, I think, for all of us that are residential homeowners and those that have a major lobby behind them that can afford this action to shift the tax burden. So appreciate the introduction. We've got a motion, a second. See no request to speak. Please cast your ballots.
Seven ayes, 0 nays, motion carried.
Thank you. We'll move into item number 8, the report of the Planning Commission meeting held on May 1st. Planning Commission met at 4 p.m. on May 1st in the first floor conference room of City Hall. Members present included myself, Tim Burkhauser, Shane Burkhart, Lee Tao, Fran Aaron, Joe Terry, and Alderperson Todd Furkey. Others in attendance are on file in the clerk's office. The meeting was called to order at 4 p.m. The approval of the report on April 3rd, 2017 Planning Commission meeting, there was a motion and a second to approve the report from that date and from that Planning Commission, and that motion carried unanimously. Item 2 is the maps and plats received. There were no maps or plats received. Item 3 was a public hearing on Plan 170191, Mariani Packing, Wisconsin, LLC. The applicant is requesting a rezoning from the A1 Agricultural District to the M1 Enclosed Industrial District. The subject property is located at east of 6011 Washington Street. Public hearing was called at 4:03 p.m. Speaking in favor of the request was Steve Berlin and Bill Clendenning. Speaking against the request, there was nobody spoken in opposition to the request. There were other questions and comments in which the issues were raised related to the future road conditions and maintenance. And Steve Berlin also indicated there's no need for utility expansion at this time. Public hearing was closed at 4:13 p.m. Item 4 was action on Plan 170191 Mariani Packing, Wisconsin, LLC, rezoning from A1 Agricultural District to the M1 Enclosed Industrial District. There was a motion by Furkey, second by Tao, to approve the request to rezone the property located east of 6011 Washington Street from A1 Ag District to the M1 Enclosed Industrial District, and that motion carried unanimously. Item 5 was an adjournment. Motion by Aaron, second by Burkhauser to adjourn, and that motion carried unanimously. with the meeting adjourned at 4:20 PM. Council members, what are your wishes regarding the report of the Planning Commission meeting?
Make a motion to approve and place on file?
A motion by Ferkey to approve. Is there a second? Second by Dolan. Move into discussion. Are there any requests to speak? See no requests to speak, I will mention the report. If you didn't catch it in the news, it was reported a few weeks back, shortly after the report was held, and Mariani's plans to add 35 new jobs to the community with this expansion. If you haven't driven out in Washington Street and 64th, do so. They're moving very, very quickly on their expansion, in which they'll be open and completed this fall, if not sooner. There's a major investment, a lot of automation. So if there's a question about job creation, I can say that they're certainly doing what they can to automate to create a great hub here for a lot of their cranberry and other fruit distribution. So be sure to check that out if you haven't been out on that side of town. It's great news and a major investment in our Rapids East Commerce Center. With that, please cast your ballots.
Seven ayes, 0 nays, motion carried.
Move on to item number 9, the Standing Council Committee Reports. Item A is the Finance and Property Committee meeting held on June 13th. Alderperson Hepp, you going to take it?
Yep.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Finance and Property Committee met on June 13th, first floor conference room in City Hall. All members were present, all other attendees on file in City Clerk office. Number 1 was called to order. The meeting was called to order at 5 p.m. by Chairperson Zerflu. Number 2, consider a recommendation from Statewide Services to deny from Crystal Hunter for damages to her vehicle. It was moved and seconded to approve the recommendation from Statewide Services to deny a claim from Crystal Hunter for damages to her vehicle. That motion carried. Item 3, review and consider a policy governing the procedures and guidelines for the acquisition, transfer, and disposal of City of Wisconsin Rapids mass transit vehicles. See policy attachment number 1. It was moved and seconded to approve a policy governing procedures and guidelines for acquisition, transfer, and disposal of City of Wisconsin Rapids mass transit vehicles. That motion carried. Item 4, consider a request to allow the Director of Public Works to apply for an ATC Transmission Company $5,000 Community Planting Program grant. It was moved and seconded to approve the request allowing the Director of Public Works to apply for an ATC Transmission Company $5,000 Community Planting Program grant, recognizing that there is no match required. That motion carried. Item number 5, consider approval of a license agreement with Wisconsin Rapids Public Schools for their use of the detention pond area at the corner of Highway 54 and County Trunk W near the compost site and the BMX track for school curriculum activities. See the agreement attachment 2. It was moved and seconded to approve of a license agreement with the City of Wisconsin Rapids Schools for use of their detention pond area at the corner of Highway 54 and County Trunk W for the school curriculum activities. That motion carried. Number 6, considered a resolution authorizing the execution of a trial agreement with Solaris to provide public Wi-Fi service to veterans and Mead Rapids View Park. See the resolution attachment 3. It was moved and seconded to approve a resolution authorizing the execution of a trial agreement with Solaris to provide public Wi-Fi to service to veterans and Mead Rapids View Park. That motion carried. See the resolution attachment 2. Item 7, consider renewal for the taxi cab license issued to Chris Wickersham, doing business as Rapids Quick Cab. It was moved and seconded to approve the renewal of a taxi cab license issued to Chris Wickersham, doing business as Rapids Quick Cab. Motion carried. Item 8, approve was beverage operator license applications. It was moved and seconded to approve the following renewal and new applications on file. That motion carried. Item number 9, audit of the bills. It was moved and seconded to approve check numbers 67633 to 67975 and manual check numbers 99263 to 99291. That motion carried. Item 10 was to set the next meeting date. Finance and Property Committee will hold its next meeting on July 11th at 5 p.m. due to the first Tuesday of July being a holiday. Item number 11 was adjourned. It was moved and seconded to adjourn. The motion carried. The meeting adjourned at 5:20 p.m. With that, I would make a motion to place on file.
A motion to approve by Hepp. Is there a second? A second by Coth. Move into discussion. Are there any requests to speak? See no requests. Oh, Alderperson Rayom, you're first.
Just a couple questions, I guess, more than anything, if I may. Let's see. Item number 3, and that's the one with new and used vehicle acquisitions. Just for clarification, less than $4,000 can be processed and approved by the senior accountant, over that by the council, and I guess, what do we do now? I don't have a problem with what the policy this says, but what do we do now?
Defer to Tim.
Well, we're currently, if we usually budget for a new taxi cabs as part of our annual mass transit
Yeah.
grant. And when if those are granted, we go through the state of Wisconsin bid procedures on that to acquire those vehicles. As far as used vehicles, they have come through the council in the past. And so basically what this is if there's a vehicle that the mass transit manager identifies at an auction that could be of good value, this enables us to react to that if it's under $4,000, because by the time we would make a referral, the finance committee go through the council, the auction would probably be done. And the reason why this is kind of important is that in this last grant, we put in for 3 new taxis, and, with kind of some of the grant cutbacks and stuff, we were only granted 1 new taxi cab this year. So this just kind of enables the mass transit manager to take advantage if he identifies a value in a vehicle that's at an auction.
Okay. Thank you. And then I think it's item number 6. I'm trying to find it on my computer here. Trying to use that tonight. Anyway, it has to do with the Wi-Fi down at the parks downtown. And again, I don't have a problem with that, but, and I understand with Solaris that they're, it's their equipment and that, but I guess, and if somebody else has a different service, that they are able to use it, but they're only able to use it 1 activation a week. Was there any try of, and I think if I can get to it, I think it's for 30 minutes, but it's 1 activation per week. They can buy more service for that week. Was there any try to get more activations in that 30-minute window or anything like that, or anything, or I guess that'd be the first question.
There was some negotiations to get to that 30 minutes per week. I can say that they sort of was a best and final offer as it's presented, and it was presented to the finance committee. So that was the furthest they were willing to go. They're also not charging the city for any of that monthly service, so I think they were looking for, from their perspective, there was a consideration for that piece, but no, they were not willing to go any further than 30 minutes, a single session every week, 30 minutes in length.
If some other company came in and offered to do the same thing. Would the city look at that in the same way to allow them, or possibly, depending on, what they came forward with?
Most definitely, this is not an exclusive
Okay, I guess that's
offer.
what I'm
Yeah,
getting at.
we wanted to keep it open for that reason, I think that you're driving it.
Okay, that's all I had.
Thank you. Are there any other requests to speak? See no further requests to speak, please cast your ballots. We have a motion and a second to approve the report.
Seven ayes, 0 nays, motion carried.
Item 9B, Public Works Committee meeting held on June 6. Alderperson Rheaume, floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Public Works Committee met at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, June 6, 2017, in the first floor conference room of City Hall, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. All members were present. Also present were Joe Terry, Joe Eichstead, Paul Shabilsky, Nick Marty, Phil Brown from the Southwood County Historical Museum. Item 1, review the DPW report. That report was reviewed. Item 2, review request by the Historical Museum to permit the installation of a conduit across 2nd Street South so they can reconnect their sprinkling system. It was moved and seconded to accept the staff recommendation and approve of a request by the Southwood County Historical Museum to permit installation of a conduit across 2nd Street South so that they can reconnect their sprinkling system, and the motion carried. Item 3, review recycling ordinance language based on the scope recommendations from May 2017. The ordinance is attached, it's attachment 1. It was moved and seconded to accept the language of changes in the recycling ordinance based on the scope recommendations from May 2017. Motion carried. Item 4, review and consider assessment and maintenance responsibilities of the recreational trail improvements being proposed along 3rd Street South between Dewey Street and Mead Street. It was moved and seconded for the city to absorb all costs associated with the construction and maintenance of the recreational trail improvements being proposed along 3rd Street South between Dewey Street and Mead Street. And that motion carried. Item 5, consider proposal to add sidewalk on 12th Street South from Pepper Avenue to the Riverview Expressway, and sidewalk on 10th Street South from Pepper Avenue to 360 feet north of Wood Avenue to the Public Works Capital Project list for 2018, and the reconstruction of Washington Street from 12th Street North to 18th Street North for 2019. It was moved and seconded to approve a proposal to add sidewalk on 12th Street South from Pepper Avenue to the Riverview Expressway, and sidewalk on 10th Street South from Pepper Avenue to 360 feet north of Wood Avenue to the Public Works Capital Project list for 2018, and the reconstruction of Washington Street from 12th Street North to 18th Street North for 2019. The motion carried. Item 6, review and consider modifying no parking restrictions on 1st Street North between Baker and Market Street and North Corporate limits as follows. Add no parking on east side of 1st Street North between Baker Street and Market Street to Drake Street. B, remove no parking on both sides of 1st Street North between Drake Street and Franklin Street. C, add no parking on east side of 1st Street North between Spring Street and the corporate limits. D, add no parking on west side of 1st Street North between the Riverview Drive and the corporate limits. It was moved and seconded to approve modifying no parking restrictions on 1st Street North between Baker and Market Street and the north corporate limits as follows. A, add no parking on the east side of 1st Street North between Baker Street, Market Street to Drake Street. B, remove no parking on both sides of 1st Street North between 1st Street North and Drake Street and Franklin Street. C, add no parking on east side of 1st Street North between Spring Street and the corporate limits. D, add no parking on the west side of 1st Street North between Riverview Drive and corporate limits. Motion carried, and that's in the ordinance attachment 2. Item 7, review the referral list. Item 2 was removed. Item 1 was removed. An item was added, that was to evaluate 16th Street and Chestnut Street intersection and motorists traveling on the street failing to stop at the intersection. In item 8, there was to adjourn, it was moved and seconded to adjourn. Motion carried and meeting adjourned at 6:42. And with that, Your Honor, I move for acceptance of the report for passage.
We have a motion to approve the report of the Public Works Committee meeting held on June 6th and a second by Kellogg. Move into discussion. Are there any requests to speak? Alderperson Kubaschak, you're first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I got one question as far as item number 5 is concerned. Are these property owners on 12th and 10th going to be assessed for the cost of the sidewalk? And what is the current ordinance that we have for assessing for this? And maybe, Joe, if you could explain that too.
Yes, the the property owners would be assessed along those areas. The current ordinance, I believe, requires assessment and sidewalk installation on classified roadways. That sidewalk is required in this particular project. It was decided some years ago when the project was done to omit that sidewalk, and the committee had reviewed a number of requests from the public for it to be installed. Recognized that the installation of the sidewalk not only was requested by residents, but is also part of our ordinance and hence the resolution. But there is an assessment process for sidewalk.
And just as a follow-up, Joe, what is that? Is it all borne by the property owner?
It is all borne, correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other requests to speak? See no further requests to speak, please cast your ballots.
Seven ayes, 0 nays, motion carried.
Item number 9, C, the Human Resources Committee meeting held on June 7th. Alderperson Ferky, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. The Human Resources Committee met at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, June 7th, in the third-floor conference room at City Hall. All members were present. Also present were Mayor Zach Ruink, Sue Schill, Beth Buchanowitz, Debbie B. Nash, Tim DeSorsi, Paul Shabilsky, and John Pruss of M3 Insurance. The meeting was called to order by Chairperson Ferky at 4 p.m. Item number 2 was considered the approval of the health insurance third-party administration and processing of claims by Security Administrative Services. It was moved by Ferky and seconded by Kellogg to approve continuing the health insurance third-party administration and processing of claims by Security Administrative Services, and that motion carried. Item 2B was dental insurance renewal with Delta Dental. It was moved by Kellogg and seconded by Kubaschak to renew the city's dental insurance with Delta Dental, and that motion carried. Item number 2C was stop-loss insurance renewal. It was moved by Kubaschak and seconded by Kellogg to approve a stop-loss insurance renewal with Symetra, and that motion carried. Item 2D, medical management renewal with Hines. It was moved by Ferky and seconded by Kellogg to renew the city's medical management insurance with Hines, and that motion carried. Item number 3 was preliminary discussion of the upcoming vacancy in the position of the Human Resources Director. With the upcoming vacancy of the Human Resources Director, strategy on how to carry out the duties of the position were discussed and were delegated on a temporary basis to various staff members. Beth Buchanowitz was presented a plaque acknowledging her 17 years of employment with the City of Wisconsin Rapids. Item number 4 was adjournment. It was moved by Ferky and seconded by Kubaschak to adjourn, and that motion carried, and the meeting adjourned at 4:50 p.m. With that, I would move to accept the Human Resources Committee meeting minutes.
We have a motion by Ferkey, second by Kellogg. Move into discussion. Are there any requests to speak on the report? Seeing no requests to speak, please cast your ballots.
Seven ayes, 0 nays, motion carried.
Item number 10 on our agenda this evening is miscellaneous reports. Item 1, the Southwood County Airport Commission meetings held May 4th and May 25th. Item 2, the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting on June 13th. Item 3, the Housing Authority meeting held on April 26th. Item 4, the McMillan Memorial Library Board of Trustees meetings held on May 17th and June 5th. The Police and Fire Commission meetings held on May 16th, 17th, May 19th, June 7th, and June 8th. Item 6, the Fire Department monthly report for May. And item 7, the Fire Department quarterly report. Council members, what are your wishes regarding those reports? Motion by Kubaschak to approve. Is there a second? Second by Rayom. Are there any requests to speak? See no requests to speak, please cast your ballots.
Is the light coming on? Seven ayes, 0 nays, motion carried.
Item 11 is referral of communication to committees. Are there any referral of communication to committees? Alderperson Rayom?
One, and I don't know, Joe, it should be on the email for you upstairs, so.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other referral of communication to committees? See no referral of communication to committees, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. I didn't hear a motion. Is there a motion? Motion by Ferkey, second by Dolan. No. All in favor? Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you all for being here, and get out and support Aquatics Fundraising Week kickoff. Thank you.